everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Carrie with Pens and Books. Today we are doing the September wrap-up. I will be going game by game or readathon by readathon, just because I have them all listed in Canva. I will not be, instead of doing the other way that I had been doing it, or that I tried last month. I didn't like the way I did it last month, so we're just changing it up. Again, I'm just kind of like seeing what works with how I work with it, how I flow, that sort of deal. So the first one we did was the Aurelium Academy Autumn Equinox. The calling I chose was the Moon Warden. And so these were the classes I had to take. These were the books that I chose for said classes. You can even see that there is a tracker up here that someone made that I took, and I just kind of inserted all my stuff in. My first book for astronomy was Why Did God Make the Tree by Tammy Gregg. This was an ARC read. This book really centered around a psychologist and him trying to help people without medication on getting through what it is that's really getting to them. So the first one, you had him trying to so the first story is about a girl who is suffering from insomnia after the death of her parents, and he helps her in a way that's very different from a way that I'd ever heard. The next patient is someone suffering from PTSD. Well, I want to say it's PTSD. You'd have to read it to really discover it for yourself. It's a kind of like almost like a psychological horror story, but it doesn't really focus just on that. And even the stories of the characters that you think would be done continue on into the next story. Like, they're brought up again, so you can kind of see how some of them make either a full recovery or don't make a recovery. But you see a satisfying conclusion to each of the patient's stories. I think that this is supposed to be a beginning of a series, but I'm not sure. I don't really know if it is or isn't, but if it is, great. I would love to read more. But it seems like they're all going to be like standalone if that's the case. But the fact that this psychologist is trying to help his patients without medication, I think for me is just absolutely amazing. Some people do need that extra help, but if you can help someone without drugging them to death, I think that is a great thing. The cue for my astronomy, which was to read a book or a genre that I don't normally read, I chose The Other Mrs., which is a psychological thriller and really, really good. I absolutely loved it. There were some parts that I was just like, nah, okay, it was kind of losing me, but it keeps you guessing. Like, I didn't see the ending happening, and it's essentially you're following these three characters. You're following Mouse, main characters that you're following is Sadie, you're following another character named Mouse, and Camille. Now, these characters are very, very important. So obviously your main focus is Sadie, and so they've recently moved to Maine to go help her husband's niece, Imogen, who just lost her mother, and there is more on that as well. So yeah, Sadie, her husband Will, and their children Otto and Tate move to Maine to go and help Will's niece Imogen with the loss of her mother. Only, there's this one little thing. There's been a murder on the street close by, and they live on an island. So it's very interesting. All the point of views that you read in the book are important to the story. And I don't want to give anything away because it's so good. But you have Camille, who is the other Mrs., or the other woman in the relationship, because Sadie doesn't trust Will for one important reason. He has been having an affair. And so she caught him via undergarments that were not her own. And so he was like, you know what, we'll move to Maine and it'll be a fresh new start. Not only for her, but there's also some issues going on with one of her sons and all this other stuff. And it was, learning about all this stuff that was going on was definitely really, really interesting. I definitely did not see the ending coming, but it was really good. I definitely recommend it. It was a 4.5 stars. Mary Kubica? I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. I'm not sure. She does an amazing job. For my O in restoration, I had to read a book with a singular point of view. The White Queen by Philippa Gregory is the second book in the Tudor and Plantagenet novels. It is all about the Elizabeth Woodville, who is Edward the Fourth's wife. And, you know, her line made the Tudor dynasty what it is. She is the first York queen that you see in history, with her husband who's taken the throne from Henry the Sixth, I want to say, and his wife Margaret of Anjou. There's so much going on in this book. They do kind of lean a little heavier on some of the paranormal aspects that what she was accused of. She was accused of being a witch and bewitching her husband and all this other stuff. And so this book, along with The Lady of the Rivers, which is the first book in the series, really kind of focuses on, well, what if they did have magic? And this is how maybe they would have interacted with the world with that knowledge. This being said, while it does have historical characters, this does not mean that this is what their characters were actually like while they were alive. So she takes, feel like she takes like a lot of liberties when it comes to crafting these characters. But I really loved the book. I loved the series that it went with, and I'm excited to do The Kingmaker's Daughter and The Red Queen, which are the next two books in the series, and then following that up with The White Princess. Super, super excited. I can't wait. I really can't. I love the War of the Roses, the Tudor dynasty. That's like my favorite time period, so. For restoration in my qualified grade, I had to do a random generator for a country. Russia is the country that I chose out of the 5 that I did. And I chose Anna Karenina, which was a good book. It's a 3.5. It was translated from Russian. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't great. Like, it doesn't stand out to me. I don't think I would have gotten through it if I hadn't been listening to the audiobook. And I feel like there were several points in the audiobooks I don't even remember listening to. But there's a lot of information being given to you about a lot of different characters. It's not just about Anna Karenina. There's so much going on with so many different characters. But the way that when I was looking at it in the physical book, when I was looking at the description, before I turned the book in, it was saying that it wanted to be like a picture into their life, like you are literally watching their lives go on. Doesn't seem to be like real big central motivator for any of these characters, and so I'm just like, okay. So I was sitting there and I was listening to it, and that's the kind of the way I was trying to kind of take it in. It's not about the romance between Anna and her husband, or Anna and her lover, and all this other stuff, or even any of the other characters and how their lives are going. It's just literally screenshot into their life for a number of years, and how their life continued and how their lives went on in Russia in that time frame. And so that's what way I was trying to kind of like incorporate it, just listen to it and really listen to what was going on with these people's lives, because this could have been someone's actual life. I mean, like, this could have been the life that they were actually living, and it was just a lot of info. The next one was Elemental Studies. There had to be a picture of water on it, or had to have water on it. Excuse me. So I chose The Sea of Always by Jodi Lynn Anderson. This is the second book in the 13 Witches series, and it picks up literally right where book one takes off. She is using the weapon that she created in the first book, and they're coming up with a plan to I don't want to give it away, so I really can't really go too much detail on it. But they are traveling the Sea of Always, and they are her and a friend of hers are traveling the Sea of Always. They're picking up other companions as they go, and they're trying to defeat the witches, which is the whole point of the trilogy, I believe, is just to defeat the witches, the 13 witches, and what they are planning on doing. And with where this one leaves off, I'm really hoping the book picks up on it. I got a perspective that I wasn't expecting. There's 12 remaining witches, technically. There's a lot of stuff going on. It was really good. I absolutely enjoyed it. And I'm really excited to read the final book in the trilogy. Spells and Incantations, I'm still currently reading A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Really enjoying it so far. I'm halfway through it. But I still have 4 days, so I still have some time. I got some time. It's a work in progress. Hopefully I finish it. I'm kind of hoping to finish it by today, but I highly doubt it. But we shall see how the day goes, because I have until 6 a.m. for another game with this book in order to complete the game. The Readathon Rebellion, the only books you really see, because I really focused on the magical readathon for Aurelium Academy. I didn't really focus on any of the other readathons or games. They just all happen to incorporate a lot of the same books. So the only book on this one that you see that is not on the previous one, is the audiobook The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson, which was a 4-star read. This is a book, you have 2 perspectives in it. So you have the characters, you have Lisbeth Salander, I believe that's how you pronounce her name, and you have Mikael Blomkvist. Please don't hate me. They're Swedish names. I'm not great at reading other names, but those are your main characters. Those are the 2 perspectives that you're getting from everything, and they're separate for a good chunk of the book before eventually coming together and working together to the end of the book. And there is a lot of stuff going on. You have Lisbeth, she's working through her own problems of her life. And then she's also trying to find information on Mikael for someone else, and then she's also looking into other things. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on there. And then you have Mikael, who is... He starts off the book going through a scandal of his own. He's been blamed for not providing a good enough information on... Hold on. Yeah, there it was. Sorry. Good enough information for a story that he wrote in the magazine that he co-owns with a friend of his. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of information going on between the 2 characters. He's working to get some information that he's hoping he could blackmail the person he's going after against. Lisbeth is getting her own blackmail for someone else. And then whenever they come together, it is a bit of like a budding romance, but that's not really the whole point. The whole point is the mystery of what happened to the character. Oh, good grief. So the whole point is to find out what happened to Harriet Wenger. She is a missing great niece of Henrik, who loved her like a daughter, and she's been missing for 30-ish years. And he still feels like he honestly believes that she's dead, so they're working off of the assumption that she is dead. And they're trying to figure out what happened to her in the past 30 years ago. And I think that the ending, it definitely leaves you wanting more, but at the same time, that particular mystery is definitely nicely wrapped up, and you're moving on into the next book with with only one thing kind of unresolved, in my opinion. At least for me, it was unresolved. So yeah, we went to Objective 2. I do with Jim Butcher's Grave Peril, was a 4.75. Not a bad book. I feel like it's definitely missing something that the first book had. Of course, the first book is introducing you to a lot of information, a lot of characters, a lot of things going on. It wasn't a bad book, but again, there were some parts that were just kind of like, meh. I think a big thing why I love this one so much, because I was listening to it on audiobook and had James Marsters narrating, who has played a lot of my favorite characters before. So I think that's the big thing right there, is that I just absolutely love the actor who was narrating the book. So I think that really kind of sealed how I was going to feel about this book. Do want to own it eventually. My boyfriend, I do want to get it. It is a great book, great series. So I'm really excited to continue on. Yeah, so, didn't even tell you what it was about. So Grave Peril is about Harry Dresden. They're hunting a lot of ghosts, like a lot of the ghosts in the world have been like really amped up, and they're trying to figure out why. They do end up finding out why throughout the series. He's also been invited to a party by the vampires, and they're just like, it's as a member of the White Council, which is the governing body of like magic and things like that. You also have a whole bunch of stuff going on, like his personal life. You get introduced to a new character and his family, and so it's a lot of information. I'm actually sad because one of my favorite characters was hardly mentioned, but granted, kind of the position that she was in, I kind of understand. But yeah, so a lot of information, really good. They do find out what happens with the ghosts. One thing that I really love that Jim Butcher does is he'll give you 2 mysteries, but in the end, the conclusion is the same. Like the vampire stuff, like why are the vampires inviting him over, all this other stuff, who's controlling the ghosts and all this thing, and then while this is going on, you also have the mystery of all the ghosts, and then you also have his personal life kind of popping in, being like, hey, he's also got his girlfriend, he also has his friendships, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on, and they mesh beautifully. So I'm really excited to continue on with book 4. Don't know anything about it yet, though. We'll see if we can get into the next one. The next readathon that I actually have completed is Seasonathon. I completed the first semester. I do plan on completing semesters 2 through 4 before next year, but we'll see how it goes. So I did complete English 1010 with Babel by R.F. Kuang. This was just a free pick. Babel, it started strong, but I will be honest, I was more interested in the stuff that they were learning as I went. I didn't see the ending coming. I kind of thought that was going to end a little bit differently. That being said, it did end very well. It's probably going to... There was just a lot of stuff going on. So basically, Babel is about this character who's brought over from China at a young age, and he is taught to be a translator. So he's taught Latin, Greek, English, and he also has to be constantly thinking in Chinese. And they also use these silver bars, which will have multiple languages on it. One side will be English, the other side will be, say, Mandarin. So you will have one side that says something in Mandarin, the other side will say heal. And that bar, you put it against someone and it will heal them from, for example, the character is healed from cholera. So over time, this character is learning all this information, and he's called Robin Swift. That is the name that he chooses for himself. And Robin, he learns all this information, he learns the basics that he needs to learn in order to be a good translator, and then he's let into Oxford. Oxford has this huge white tower where all the translators live, is where they make the silver bars. And it's called Babel. And so there's just like a lot of stuff going on. I think Queen Victoria was still just Princess Victoria at the time that this book takes place. Um, it was really good, and there's just a lot of information going on, and it really kind of lets you think about like the position that people were in at that time, or what could have been in at that time, going over to a new country where everyone is severely prejudiced against them for being Chinamen or being Asian, Black, Indian. I mean, there was just a whole bunch of stuff going on. But Robin could actually also pass for a white man. So he kind of got off a little easy, but he was still a Chinaman. And that made a lot of stuff go on. He meets another character named Griffin. You learn about, and the Hermes, the group that Griffin seems to be in charge of. I don't know if he actually is, but they're constantly doing things, small things to kind of undermine the translators, undermine the Babel, and there's just a lot of stuff going on. And again, I did not see the ending coming. Saying goodbye to it is a standalone, by the way. There is no other, no, it's not a series, it's just a standalone. But saying goodbye to the characters in the way that we did is just, it was a little difficult. But in the end, there really wasn't another way to have said goodbye to those characters except in that way. The other one that I did was Math 1010, because the number of pages ended in a 5. 805 pages completed for the House of Sky and Breath. This took me nearly a month to read, I kid you not. Such a good book, though. So this continues on with Bryce and Hunt, set after House of Earth and Blood, I believe the first one's called. Yes, House of Earth and Blood. So you're following Hunt and Bryce. You're also following her brother Rune. You're also following one of the Amur named... their names are so interesting. You also have a werewolf named Ethan, who you met in the first book as well. I mean, they're bringing them all together, and you know, you have the events of the first book, House of Earth and Blood. That takes place in the spring, and this takes place in the summer, in Crescent City, in Lunathon. And you have Hunt being a free man, but he is still working with the 33rd, kind of like to give him a sense of purpose. Bryce has a new job, but she still interacts with her former employer because, you know, information, you know, that former employer is a great employer. But she no longer works for her, so yeah. Then you have the Mer Captain, who is engaged to the River Queen's daughter. He's trying to do something. You have Cormac, who is a new character. He is a Fey prince who is put into an arranged marriage with another character. So he uses that to his advantage to work with the characters that he's working with. Then you have Rune, who he's still kind of working through a lot of stuff himself, but yeah, there's just a lot of information going on, a lot of stuff going on. Danica apparently has more secrets than even the first book told us. So I don't want to go too far into the details of the second book because it is a second book of a trilogy. I don't want to give information that will give away the ending of the first book. If you hadn't read it, I highly recommend these books. Really excited for the second one. It's a 4.5 stars. Absolutely enjoyed it. History 1011 was White Queen. Foreign language was Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I'm not going to go through those again because I just went through those. The Mystic Readathon. This one, you had different drops. We are currently on round 6. But I'm kind of choosing to do like a feather mode for that one, which basically means I'm just reading and submitting books off my own volition, my own free will. I actually need to put the book I just read on here as well for feather mode. Give me a second to do that. Alright, so yeah, we had different prompts dropped at different times. We're currently on round 6. The ones with the X's are books for prompts that I did not complete in time, even if I did complete the book later. The 3 prompts that I did complete is the Pocket Book of Dragons, by Joel Levy. This is a nonfiction book about the history and the mythology of dragons from ancient times all the way up to modern day. And yes, they include D&D, Song of Ice and Fire. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. The research that went into this book, 4.75 stars. It was an ARC read. Thank you, NetGalley, for that. So good. The next prompt I did complete was Jujutsu Kaisen, number 0, by Gege Akutami. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I could be mispronouncing it, which I apologize if I am. 5 stars, all the way. I'm really excited to start the series. I haven't been able to, obviously. But I did start it again with 0, which obviously takes place before the main series. I am really excited for it. The final book, which is the book I just finished today, The Stardust Thief. I haven't submitted it yet, but this is my feather mode. This is the first time I've gone into feather mode. I've been doing retrieval mode the entire time. But feather mode just basically means I'm not working with any prompt. Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abudallah is really good. It is taken inspiration from the Arabian Nights, which is the story of the woman who was telling the king a story and would mix in another story. It's like, you know what, I'll tell you the rest tomorrow. And she actually staved off death for 1,001 nights, and eventually the king fell in love with her. This is almost like an adaptation from it, because you have her in there. You actually have her in there. Really good. Absolutely loved it. It is a trilogy, so I'm really excited for the second book. So Jujutsu Kaisen Zeros takes place with is Yuta Okotsu and Reika. I believe that's how you pronounce Rika. That's her name. You are meeting Panda, Inumaki, and Maki for the first time I think they were first years. Yeah, when they were first or second years in their high school. He's joining their class, but he has this curse that's on him. This cursed spirit, that's what they are. They're a cursed spirit who's constantly protecting him, constantly looking after him. He never gets hurt because of that. So he has to learn how to control the cursed spirit, as well as say goodbye to someone that he cared for very, very much. You also get to see Geto, who is the villain of the series up to at least where I've seen. You also meet Gojo, and you kind of see an end to one of their fights. Really good series. I'm really excited to continue on with the books as well as the TV show. TV show is 2 seasons out. Really, really good. Ooh, that's what I could have done. Anyway, really good so far. Can't wait for season 3, and I can't wait to actually read the books to see kind of like maybe where some differences are, because there's always differences. The Stardust Thief actually has 3 perspectives, and none of them are the Stardust Thief. You have Layla, or Luli. Her name is Luli, who is the only member of a Bedouin tribe left over. She is traveling with a Jinn, who are seen as antagonists in this world. There's a lot of stuff going on with this one. The Jinn are seen as villains, so some of them are trying to take revenge. But they actually disappeared into their own city underneath the sand, called the Sand Sea. But Luli has been traveling with a Jinn, so she doesn't hate Jinn, obviously. She actually has been trying to find the killers of her tribe for years. Insert Prince Mazen. Mazen is someone who really enjoys stories, but he was locked up in the palace, so he has to leave in secret. Remind you of any other stories. And his mother was a woman who had given the king several stories. This is why it's a kind of like a modern adaptation of Arabian Nights, because she gave these stories to she gave the stories to the king in order to stay alive, because he was constantly murdering women, his wives specifically, and he eventually fell in love with her, and then Masen was born, and then she was killed by a jinn, we believe, in the beginning of it. And then there's also Aisha. I think her name's pronounced Aisha, who is a member of the 40 Thieves, who is controlled by the first Prince Omar. There is a whole bunch of stuff going on. Aisha's tribe was killed by Shen, and she was taken in by the prince, who had seen her potential, and she was taken into the 40 Thieves. There is a lot going on with this book. There we go. There's a lot going on with this book, and so much stuff going on with it. So you have Luli, who is also called the Midnight Merchant. No one knows who she is until later on in the book, when the Sultan finds her, brings her out, and says, "You're a criminal. You're going to do what I say, or I will kill you." Hands are kind of tied at that point. The ending of it I kind of saw coming, which is why this isn't a 5-star book. But not fully. Like, I saw it coming. I knew kind of like what was going to end up happening. But the ending with a couple of the characters, I did not see coming. So again, really good book. Absolutely loved it. Highly recommend it. 4.5 stars. Chelsea Abidallah does an amazing work with this novel. I'm really bad at giving reviews because I don't want to give anything away. The September TBR for the game TBR Trail the quests, all books you've already seen, but this is where I am. I have 7 out of 8 complete. Almost done. Hopefully I can finish A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by 6 a.m. tomorrow. And that will be when I have to turn it in, or else I lose my points for that. But that's fine. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Lord of the Reeds, again, all books you've seen. This is the first time we've completed multiples of it. So not multiples, we nearly completed the whole thing. The only one I didn't complete was Fang Fiction from the TBR jar. A Game of TBR, I completed 4 out of the 6. I think this is the most I've actually completed of the Game of TBR since I bumped it up to 6. The only one I didn't get to who was Hellsing, which I'm actually kind of sad about, and A Discovery of Witches. Dungeons and Books, I did not get to Heir to the Shadows again, but so this one we'll be seeing this in October. Lots of stuff going on in October. The Small Booktubers, Hardest from 1.0, I did complete the other misses for it, and I'm currently working on A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. I have not gotten to either Fables or The Lies of Locke Lamora yet, but I am looking forward to them. I do have them. They are waiting to be read. For 2.0, I swapped out Before the Coffee Gets Cold for Jujutsu Kaisen. There we go. And then I also finished, of course, The Swedish and Russian with Anna Karenina and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which only leaves one more book, The Three Musketeers, which is our French translation. A-star viewer prompt, this is not one that I covered on my TBR list, so covering it now, I guess. She does viewer prompts at the end of her thing. Normally it's just the last book, but because she hadn't done a viewer prompt thing for a while for this quarter, we ended up doing 4. I read 2 of the 4, as you can see. So not bad, not bad. Kind of wish I would have gotten to the other 2 as well, because I'm really excited to get into those. But didn't get into them, which is unfortunate, but it does happen. So yeah, that is all of the books that I went through. I completed 13 books this month. So average rating this month was 4.29. Read a total of 13 books. Read a total of 5,508 pages. DNF'd 2 books. Why do you only say 1? There you go, DNF'd 2 books. I started 3 new series, including the one I'm currently reading. My top 5 genres were fantasy, for 3 fantasy. I had 2 historical fiction, 2 mystery and thriller, 2 nonfiction, and 1 classic. I listened to 5 audiobooks. I read 3 ebooks, 4 hardbacks, 1 paperback. Of those, of the 13 I've finished, I owned 2 and I borrowed 11. Don't let my boyfriend hear that. So pages actually read were 2,522. The audiobook, the hours I've listened to is 115 hours this month. I actually acquired 10 books. I borrowed 17 from the library. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. I will be posting, of course, that information around so you can see. I'm really excited to kind of complete my first semester with the Aurelium Academy. I'm having a lot of fun with the books I've read. I'm actually excited that I actually completed a readathon. This is the first readathon I completed, was a seasonathon. I'm excited to get to semester 2 through 4, so I can do semester 5 with the next year. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to come back next time for the next books, which will be either a review or the TBR for October, which I haven't recorded yet. That's actually the one I'm going to record next. So I will see you guys next time. Bye guys. Happy reading.